What was your childhood like?
My childhood, I had two older brothers who I absolutely adored, but they found me annoying. So we spent, my memory of my childhood is lots and lots of fighting.
Yeah, right.
Lots of arguing and having fun with them as well, but mainly like fights. And
Are you younger than them?
yeah, I'm the youngest, yeah. So I've got two older brothers who are lovely, lovely grown-up men, but they used to torment me when I was little. And so you always remember the... like I remember a couple of incidents which I've decided is my whole childhood. You know, this happened every day, when probably it happened once or twice, but you know, they used to, one of them would pretend to go blind and chase me around the house, and I was really traumatised by that.
That is traumatic though, as a kid.
Yeah, because I just totally, he'd go like, oh, I think I've gone blind, where are you? Where are you? And he'd chase me and I'd be backing away, and he'd be, wherever I went, he'd find me somehow, because he wasn't actually blind. And stuff like that, and we just sort of argue and fight all the time.
Yeah, my sister and I did too. It's so, when you're younger, and my sister and I still sometimes, a lot, still argue, but it's so funny when you're kids how you just fight. And I am not looking forward to that if I have more than backs, to my kids fighting.
Yeah.
It will drive me nuts.
But it's interesting, because talking to my mum, she goes, but I don't remember you guys fighting very much at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she doesn't remember that, maybe because we did it out of sight of the parents or whatever. But yeah, I think I just wanted to be with them all the time, and I was the annoying younger sister kind of thing. And because they're both boys, they kind of do stuff together.
And then you were left out a little bit. So were you a tomboy, trying to fit in with the boys? Yeah,
trying to be a tomboy, I think. But I reckon that having that kind of competitive, combative childhood is the reason that I'm really quick on my feet, and I'm really I've developed a quick wit, because I could never beat them physically, but I could really piss them off. Yeah, you know, verbally. I could say terrible things to them and get the same kind of reaction.
And as you've grown up, have you got closer to
your
brothers?
Yeah. Like I remember, I reckon I was 21 before I had a civil conversation with my middle brother. And
really?
Yeah, and I went to stay with him. He was working and living in France, and I went to stay with him. And I remember really vividly going on this bike ride with him. And we're going through these vineyards, and there's like ancient stone villages, and just, you know, this incredibly ridiculous sort of touristy kind of vista, but just having this bike ride with him and just talking about a whole lot of stuff, and kind of becoming friends for the first time. And I remember that as being a really precious day of going, oh yeah, I like you and you like me, and
and so from then on you just became isn't it funny? That's so cool, because you don't choose your family, which you know, you hear a million times. So then when brothers and sisters don't get along, it's like, well, yeah, we're from the same parents, but we're so different. So it's quite lucky if you do get along really and enjoy each other's company.
And we're quite different, you know, like my brothers are both very practical people, and they've got sensible professions, and I don't think they ever could really get a handle on what I was doing, like why she's so dramatic, and you know, like, well, she's got friends that wear big leather coats, was what comment I remember from my brother, of like, oh, your friends are weird, kind of. But now finally, well, not finally, happened a few years ago, they go, oh, okay, I see what you're doing.
Yeah. What attracted you to comedy and to performing?
I loved performing. I didn't think I would be a comedian.
Right.
But I was really shy as a kid as well, and so making people laugh became a way of having communication with someone but not knowing how to have a proper conversation. So if I keep making you laugh, you never find out that I don't know what the fuck to talk to you about.
Wow.
So
do you find a lot of comedians are like that? They're on stage so confident, but then off stage really shy, sometimes insecure, which intrigues me how you can then have that confidence to get up there and perform.
But when you're on stage, everyone's come to see you or come to see a performance, and you're part of that performance, and you have a microphone and you're in charge of that interaction.
Yeah, right.
And so that's a really different thing from we're in a bar and I don't know you very well, and I don't know, will you like me? I don't know. Like, you know, there's that difference. You're not in charge of an interaction when it's a conversation. And so on stage though, you're in control, because the audience are expecting you to be in control, and you've got a mic, and you know, you're in charge of that interaction.
Yeah. So you started doing that when you were really young then, to kind of hide behind.
Yeah. When I was at high school, I started, like, I was never the class clown. I was like, you know, quiet and wanted to be good and everything. Right. But then we started doing theatre sports at high school, and I was awful for a start, but then just kept doing it and really enjoyed it. And that was kind of the start of going, I actually really love making people laugh on stage as well, because my intention was to be an actor.
Yeah, right.
But I think I'm a better comedian than I am an actor.
Yeah, right.
So it's a lucky accident.
Have you done much acting though?
Bits and pieces, yeah. I tend to be the comic relief character.
Yeah, right. So even when you're doing
it's
that,
like a comedic
sort
of thing.
And what was your home life like? Your parents were quite strict, weren't they?
Oh, just overprotective, really, I suppose. Like conservative and just really protective of us. And so I had quite a sheltered upbringing, I think. And then I was quite religious during my teenage years.
So 13. Was it when you were 13?
13 or 14, I became a born-again Christian.
What, was that your whole family or just you?
No, just me. Oh, my older brother was kind of into it as well. But looking back, really what it was finding a peer group.
Right.
Because it was that thing of like, I don't know how to make friends. Oh, there's some friends down at the church. We just have to talk about Jesus for a while.
Yeah, right.
And so I was kind of into that for a while. And then when I was about 17, the homosexual law reform bill came out in New Zealand, and it was about that time that people at church started talking about how gay people were evil and stuff. And I was like, well, no, that's not right, because my best friend had just come out to me, and my favourite teacher was gay, and my friend's older brother that I had a massive crush on was gay. And I just went, oh no, that's not making sense anymore to me. I don't understand why that. I don't get that. It doesn't make sense.
And so how old were you when you decided that wasn't for you?
Yeah, so 17.
17.
Yeah, 17, 18.
And so that's quite a few years in when you would have established a lot of friends to then walk away from it. Did you lose your friendship group?
There was a couple of friends that I was sad to see the back of, kind of thing, because once I was out of youth group there was no real interaction, I suppose. But I had friends at school.
What were your parents, when you went home and said, I want to be a born-again Christian at 13, what were your parents just like, cool, this is just...
Yeah, well, I think Mum was a Sunday school teacher, so...
So it wasn't completely out of the norm, because we didn't grow up religious at all, so if I came home and said that, my mum would go, you've lost your mind. But it wasn't like that.
Yeah, I don't remember there being much of a fuss or anything like that. It was kind of like, I can't even remember really. Probably just went home and went, I've invited Christ into my life or something like that. And then there was a few things, like you go on youth group camps and 1,500 religious teenagers would be ecstatic and
yeah, right.
Yeah.
And what would you get up to on those camps? I reckon
Nothing.
Really? I would think they would be the naughtiest.
Well, they may have been, but not around me. Like, because I was so straight and so conservative and wanting to be good and wanting to do the right thing and all that sort of stuff.
And then when you're 17 and you decide,
I was like,
that's
not for me, right.
And how did it change your life?
I decided I'd better get a boyfriend and I'd better try and be a normal teenager, and the next person that I went out with I would probably lose my virginity to, because that was something to get ticked off.
So you were quite old then to lose your virginity?
I suppose 18, yeah.
Yeah, which is quite old
these days.
Yeah, but was it then or not really?
No, I think it was sort of around... Yeah, no, it didn't seem like anything out of the ordinary.
Yeah, I was talking to one of your friends, Claire Hooper, about it, and we were saying how it was a thing where you just go, let's just get this done.
Yeah, it was just kind of like...
Tear a Band-Aid off.
Yeah, and really, it wasn't a... I was like, right, well, I think I would like to have a boyfriend and I would like to lose my virginity, and the next person that shows an interest in me...
They'll get it.
They'll get it, yeah.
And that's how it happened.
Yeah, pretty much. And he'd previously gone out with one of my really good friends for 9 months, and I was like, right, well, I have to go out with him for longer than she went out with him, so we will go out until we've been together. He was terribly unsuitable. So I went out with him for 10 months and then broke up with him.
So did you deliberately wait to outdo?
Yeah, I was like, oh, I'm not enjoying this, but I just have to keep going.
Isn't that so funny?
What a stupid thing to think.
Do you look back and go, I can't believe I did that?
Idiot. What an idiot.
I do that all the time when I think what I used to try and do to impress boys, or you put rules on things and you go, why? You did that all yourself in your mind.
Yep, you didn't need to do that. You could have just been yourself and just...
Yes.
Yeah.
So funny.
I'm so happy not to be a teenager or in my 20s anymore.
I think that too, because I like constantly did try to fit in. Like I was never really, and I was talking to somebody about it the other day, where you do things because you'd go, this will be cool, or I'll fit in here, and it's so not who you were to do that.
Yeah. And
it felt uncomfortable doing it at the time, but you'd still do it just to blend in with the crowd. Our kids better not do that.
Yeah, I hope that...
Cal, they're going to.
Yeah, everyone does. Everyone has to find their own way.
And you moved to Australia. You were really successful in New Zealand doing comedy, and then you got a job in Australia and moved out here. You were 32.
Yes.
When you moved out here, which you were, when you were so established in New Zealand, what made you go, I'm going to go over there?
Because people talk about it being a small industry here, but it's a tiny industry in New Zealand, and there just wasn't the work for me. You know, like I was doing lots of voiceovers for ads and doing stand-up and getting little roles here and there and getting bits and pieces of TV, but there just wasn't
enough work.
And I'd gone through a relationship breakup and I was just like, oh, it's time for a fresh start. And so moved here and was going to move here anyway, but got the job on Skid House. So it was great to come to work and not have to kind of puddle around sleeping on people's floors and you know, trying to get a gig. But I'd also done the festival here a couple of times as well, so I had established connections and things.
Right. Has there been many times in your career where you have had to do the sleeping on the couch? There's not, because it is so up and down.
I've been really lucky. I think as a comedian you make your own work, which is really great. So if you're an actor or whatever, I suppose you have to wait for someone else to write a part that you can do, or that you have to go up against other people to get that part. But as a comedian, you write yourself a show and then you do the show, and if the show's any good, people will come and that sort of thing. And I've always had little bits and pieces like writing columns and doing things. So I've always had more than one thing that I can do, and you know, I do corporate work, so I MC events for companies and I do all that sort of thing. So I've always used to describe it as having a career like muesli, like there's all these little bits and pieces that make up breakfast.
Yeah, that's a good way to explain it. And you met your husband out here, he's an Aussie.
Yeah.
And 6 years ago you got married. Would it be about 6 years ago?
Yeah, so we've been together for 10 years this week.
Have you?
Yeah.
Do you celebrate anniversary?
Kind of, but it's really funny as we've gone on. Like I used to be a really big, it has to be romantic, there has to be presents, they have to, you know, you have to have really thought about my Christmas present. And now I'm just like, I don't care. Like the reality of having somebody that is really present all the time and backs me completely and is a beautiful father and
that's enough. That cuts the present, doesn't it, really?
I insist on a card because I know that he finds that hard.
My partner's the same, because I can just belt out a card and he'll be there for like an hour.
Yeah, it's exactly the same with Chris. But that's the important thing to me, is the intent.
But because when you got married, then you lost those 4 years. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've been with Sam for 8 years, and if we get married, then if for our first wedding anniversary, we've been married a year. But it's like, we've been together that long.
Yeah, that's true. Because he was like, okay, once we get married, we don't do the anniversary of when we got together. But I think this year we probably will. Like, we'll probably go out for dinner or something like that, because it is 10 years.
10 years, yeah. But technically,
still like each other.
Can you believe it? How good is that? Because you know what I love about you two is your music taste.
It's
very different. Because he's like me. He's a bit of a teeny bopper, isn't he?
Totally.
Like into your Backstreet Boys, your Kylie Minogue, and that's how.
And hardcore house music.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which I don't get at all.
No, I'm not into hardcore house music.
Got to have a little bit of a lyric going on.
Yeah. So would he rave?
Oh, totally. Big dance party dude in his earlier years. And if we'd met earlier, we would have hated each other.
Yeah, right.
But I think he's kind of calmed down a little bit and I've pepped up a little bit, and kind of we've met in the middle.
Yeah, because you're more alternative with you're exactly like my boyfriend. You into bands like Body Parts, Elbow and stuff like that, and I'm like, I have no idea what any of it is, but you balance each other out that, you know?
Yeah. He calls my music cut yourself music.
Oh, yes,
and I call his music poodle singing about lunch.
Yeah.
Because it's just...
I love poodle singing about lunch. And I know that I'm like, they're going to be together forever, because you took him to a Kylie Minogue concert, which was probably your worst nightmare.
Yeah, and he came to a Nick Cave concert with me. So.
Yes, which is quite possibly my worst nightmare too. And your first date was to...
The Proclaimers!
Yes!
Which, the fact that he came without complaint to that is... Because I love the Proclaimers. They're so... Everyone thinks they're so daggy, but I just love them. And I was going, and I was going to go on my own, and he came with me, and was,
And that was it?
Yeah.
Because it's... How you got together is he was going to go away. And so you thought, right, he's going away soon. I can see this guy and there'll be no strings attached.
Yeah, because I'd come out of a bad relationship and I was like, I don't want anything serious. I need to claim Melbourne as my own. Australia needs to be mine, and then, maybe I'll look around for something. And so I met him at a friend's gig, and I was like, this is safe because he's off in 5 weeks, and then it will just be a delicious fling and nothing will happen. And then 10 years later, and a child and a house. And
I love that though, when you do meet somebody where you go, and I met somebody once when I was leaving in 3 weeks, and you just let all your boundaries down and you just go for it because there's an end date.
Yeah, and I think also the thing that was really different with Chris as well was that I really liked him as well. Like I really liked him as a person. Like I was like, well, you would be my friend if nothing happened, as opposed to just someone entirely unsuitable that was really hot. But like, so I thought he was hot. I really liked him, and there was just no bullshit. Like I didn't play any games, and he didn't play any games. So it was just for the first time.
Game cutting would have been out, because if he wasn't going away, you might have played games.
Yeah, but I think I'd just kind of gone, like, I'm too old for this. So, you know, I need to know stuff about you and whether it's worth pursuing, because, you know, 32, don't know if I'm going to have kids or not, you know, let's just cut to the chase and have proper conversations. And so it was kind of like, I just told him, I think that I liked him or whatever, you know, that we had just conversations about, you know, I really like you and stuff, and you're going away. And there's just no pretense and no kind of, oh, well, I won't text him back for another day. Like, there was just none of that for the first time. It was just kind of like, well, this is what I'm doing. Would you like to join me doing this? And
that's so refreshing,
yeah, it was great.
Isn't it?
Yeah, and then when he went away, we'd sort of fallen for each other by then. Having a relationship over email allowed us to ask questions that we probably wouldn't have got to that soon.
Yes.
You know, kind of, because you can ask a question in an email that you wouldn't ask.
Totally, because you don't have to look.
Yeah. So he went away, he was supposed to be away for a year, and he came back after 5 months. And then we went and did the Edinburgh Fringe Festival together. He came as kind of my roadie.
Did he?
Yeah, and that's the most, you know how you're not supposed to travel together. So he got back, I think, for about a month, and then we went travelling together and did the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, which is the most mind-blowingly stressful festival to do for a comedian, and we didn't split up. So we kind of...
You knew it was it.
Yeah. We had a few screaming fights on the street, but you know.
Right. You need that though, don't you? Because it does, relationships do go up and down, and being together 10 years, how do you keep it that you're still really into each other and enjoy each other?
I think we're really fortunate in that I go away a bit, so it's always really nice to see each other, and we're both really into our son. Like, he's such a great dad, and he stays at home and looks after our son and works part-time from home.
Right.
And that's a real shared enjoyment as well of the delight of doing stuff with Digby, and you know, like, it must be the same for you when your son experiences something for the first time. Gives you so much enjoyment out of going, oh, wow, that is, you're just hearing a watch tick, but that has blown your mind. Like, it's so great. Well, we took him skiing for the first time, and that was just the most, I've totally whacked my microphone. We took him skiing for the first time, and it was just the most adorable, delightful thing of just him just going,
I know.
Just beautiful.
And seeing your husband be a father to this little person.
Be a beautiful father.
You do fall back in love, I think.
Totally.
You know, like, it can be really hard, but at the same time you go, you're a good dad, there is nothing more attractive than that.
Yeah.
And thank God, do not choose a shit partner to breed with. That's what I've got from having a kid. I'm like, if you were shit, I'd be so stuffed right now. You've got to choose so wisely, don't you?
Yeah.
And when you had Digby, was it always something that you wanted to have a baby?
Yeah, I thought I would always have kids, and then I went through a period where I thought, well, no, I've left it too late. I'm not going to meet anyone. Just before I met Chris, I'm not going to meet anyone that I'm going to trust enough to have children with.
Right.
And then
how was that though? Thinking of,
was like, okay, well, that's okay. I've got my nieces and nephews, and as long as
you were really,
I was like, yep, that's okay.
Wow, okay.
And then met Chris and was like, oh, you're quite nice.
Yeah.
I always intended to have children, and then thought that it wasn't going to happen, and then ended up leaving it far later than I thought I would. So I was 38 when Digby was born, and so he's ended up as a limited edition.
And I love that you call him that.
And I feel a bit sad about that sometimes, but that's the decision that we've made, because I'm 43 now, and it took me a long time to get over, physically and mentally, to get over having a baby.
Yeah.
And so that's just the way the world has ended up.
Yeah. Do you think that because it was maybe harder mentally because you did have him later in life?
I think because of what I do, I need to be firing on all cylinders, like my brain, you know, and it took me ages to feel like myself again and to feel sharp. And so I think from the outside I looked fine and appeared to be doing exactly the same job that I've always done, but on the inside I found it really frightening to be in a fog. Like I was in a fog for months of just going, oh, I know we're having a conversation, but I'm not quite following what's going on. I know there's a joke there, but it's just gone. I haven't reached for it. And so, it was surprisingly hard, and physically because I was older, it was just harder.
Yeah, and it's taxing. And I remember when Bax was born, I kind of got baby brain pretty early on in my pregnancy. I was doing things where I go, oh my God, I'm so not myself. I'm usually so on the ball. And then it took me quite a while. And I think it was nearly a year before I felt like the fog lifted.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember just saying to one of my friends, I'm like, does it ever go away? Because I don't feel like myself. And they're like, yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And it has. Like, I'm back 2 years on, completely back to myself. But you do think that fog is not going to lift.
And I reckon it took 18 months for me to feel like, oh yeah, no, I'm back.
Yeah, and you know when you're back, don't you? Like, oh my God, I can think properly.
Yeah.
But that would be extra hard for you when you rely on everything around you to get material and...
Yeah, and just, you know, the sheer thing of just being so exhausted and not watching the news or not catching up on pop culture and all of that sort of stuff. So I found that really tricky of just trying to remain alert and engaged in the world when your whole universe has just gone down to the size of a cot.